I'm DJ Ease, aka Nightmares and Wax, and you're watching In the Loop from Producertech. The only tech is Producertech. Yo, wax the jam.
In this episode, we'll have one of the hottest new bits of hardware right now, Circuit from Novation, which is also the top prize in our latest remix comp, where you have the opportunity of remixing the legendary artist Nightmares on Wax. There'll be a few words from Oscar from the superb band Kraak and Smaak, who I caught up with at this year's Amsterdam dance event, and I'll also be showing some of the new features in Ableton Live 9.5, which was launched at their successful Loop event a few weeks back. First though, I'm going to uncover some of the mystery behind stereo width, as well as unveiling a great new plugin coming soon from Plugin Boutique called Stereo Savage, which we're also giving away. Of all the areas of production, stereo width is sometimes one that's a bit overlooked, despite the fact that it's an important skill if wanting to achieve a spacious and big sounding mix. Having a better understanding of the width, or mid and side components, of individual sounds, group tracks and the master channel can help add interest and an extra dimension without overcrowding your mix. So here's a lead riff in Live Now, being created with an operator patch, the new Max for Live arpeggiator, and the chord MIDI effect. It's a nice sound, but it is quite loud and continuous. And what people tend to do when processing a lead sound like this is to add some character with a chorus maybe. And also some reverb. The issue with this is we've now got a constantly loud and wide sound which will completely dominate a mix, as you can hear if I add drums now. One obvious solution is to use a compressor whose sidechain is being fed by the kick. But that makes the sound duct very obviously, which is quite an overdone groove these days. So what we could do instead is just apply this effect to the sound in the center, which is where the drums lie. To do this, I'll just drag in this mid-side rack, which is a very basic preset for my stereo width course, which is in fact the starting point for a few of the other racks there. And it's simply a couple of utility effects in parallel, one set to 0 and the other 200%. So we're separating the mid and side signals. So now I could just drag the compressor to the mid chain, but what I'm going to do instead is to add a gate, so I can show you another way of doing it. The gate also has a sidechain facility, which I can also set to have the drums as the input and roll off the top end, so it's just the kick opening the gate. I'll turn off the sides for a minute. And then you can hear we've got the gate opening with the kick, but we actually want it to work the other way around, so I'll flip it. So now we've got the same effect as the ducking compressor, as the gate opens between kicks, and I can lessen the amount of ducking by raising the floor dial. And then, when I bring the sides back in, you can hear the pumping isn't so drastic, and the sound more continuous. And we could even the sound out further by copying the gate to the sides and then unflipping it, after which the mid and side signals are alternating with each other, which creates a cool stereo effect that keeps the drums and lead both strong and clear in the mix. To find out lots more about stereo processing techniques, check out my comprehensive online course, which includes over 2 hours of tutorials, written notes, live projects, and 10 custom rack presets made on the course. Various third-party plugins are also available to help with width, including Stereo Savage by Plugin Boutique, which is out in a month or two, and has some handy features for widening a sound, with 3 main modes here that apply a few of the techniques covered on the course, including detuning in Vox mode, or delay, which is probably better on this guitar sound. And there's a bunch of useful stereo controls to the right for setting a precise width amount and stereo position. And the meter on the end gives you a great visual reference of how much is going on in the mid and side signals. So you can of course rein it in a bit if you want, or spread it out even wider. And some other features include a handy high pass for cutting out the bass in the sides, and an LFO for modulating one of the main parameters on the plugin. So it's a great tool for tackling the stereo image of sounds. In this episode's competition, we're giving away 3 copies of Stereo Savage and the complete guide to stereo width course, so stay tuned for details of how to enter. Now let's take a quick look at some of the new Producertech releases to come out since the last episode. If drum and bass is your thing, you'll want to check out Rezo's detailed walkthrough of his track Move It to see how the track was made. Or for some 4-to-the-floor classic retro house production techniques, there's Blandy's set of tutorials in Logic Pro X. As well as his brand new disco house course in Live, showing the making of his latest release. something even tougher, Joel Dawes from Spoils and Clacks takes you through his rude little project he put together with the Ableton Live Suite. Then for machine users, there's Capson's Future Bass Pro Tips and Tricks. Next, there's a first for Producertech with a set of sound design tutorials to accompany a separate preset pack, both made by Tutor Dephased for the soft synth Serum, which are available individually or slightly cheaper as a bundle. Then, tech house maestro Martin Ira invites you into his studio to see his simple but effective engineer's approach to putting together an arrangement in live.
What is behind?
And finally, a great new course by Adam Goodlett, aka Recreation, jam-packed full of sound design and production tips in Logic Pro. Even if you're not into psytrance, this is well worth a watch. All these courses and more are available on our recently updated site, Producertech.com, which includes all our courses in one place, as well as our latest news and other useful resources. As just mentioned, you can now also grab sample and preset packs on the site. So if you like a course by one of our tutors, you can potentially get hold of some of their sounds too, either on their own or bundled with their courses for a discount. If you have courses on our older sites, you may have noticed you have an account on the site already with your courses added, as our recent students have been automatically imported. If you're an older student, however, you can request to import your earlier courses using the facility on the site, to keep all your courses in one place. Next up, a few words from Oscar from the amazing band Kraken and Smaak, who I had a quick chat with in a noisy hotel bar at this year's ADE.
Kraak Smaak has been going on for, I think, 12 years. We started releasing in 2003, Jalapeno Records, London. Started out making breakbeat, which was a big thing then, funky breakbeat, which is it's a niche now. But and we moved on from breakbeat to more housey stuff, and then we had and funk, hip hop stuff. We had a big moment in 2008 where we had a hit single called "Squeeze Me."
But you make everything alright when you're holding your squeeze it tight. But you make everything alright when you're holding your But you make everything alright.
So that's what Kraak Smaak's all about, and we have a label called Boogie Angst Records. Check it out. Just doing our own stuff and other artists as well, your people, and yeah.
What's next for the band? What are you guys working on at the moment?
We are working in the studio, working towards a new album, and it has to be released in April, May 2016, something like that. And we just have a new single out on Boogie Angst. It's called My Mind Meds Up, and then there's a new single coming with Mayor Hawthorne, the singer of Tuxedo. That's like planned for, I think, January, something like that. That's really old school boogie funk, you know. I think spring 2016 we're going to do Europe, but it's not. We're just working on it. Nothing concrete. Yeah.
Well, thanks for talking to us
All right.
today.
Yeah.
And best of luck with new music and the label and your 2016 tour.
Yeah. Thank you.
Make sure you check out Kraken and Smaak online and go and see them if you can, as they put on an incredible show. And show some love for their new label Boogie Angst, which is already boasting some fine funk flavours. And now, let's see what's new in the latest version of Ableton Live, which was released a few weeks back. One of the biggest changes to the software is the updates to their sampling device Simpler, which has basically taken on some of the audio warping and slicing facilities from other parts of the software. This means that any sample you import into Simpler can work in traditional sampling mode, where it speeds up and slows down as you'd expect, or can be warped in the same way as audio clips in Live, to maintain a constant length and only change in pitch with MIDI notes, which is rare and powerful behaviour for a sampler, and makes working with loops in Simpler a dream. And the new features are really nicely integrated with version 2 of their push control surface. For more details about all the updates to Simpler, you can watch a free tutorial I've done for it on our YouTube channel. Another very nice addition is a set of analog modelled filters, made in conjunction with Cytomic. These now live anywhere where filters do throughout the software, so the auto filter device of course, and any live instruments with filters too. There are 4 types with varying amounts of saturation, customised with the drive dial. Their sound really is exquisite, and with the effect being such a common one when producing, this update can really help warm and fatten up the sound of a mix. The Max for Live Essentials selection, which comes bundled with the Live Suite, has a load of new presets, including 3 new instruments. a bass synth, a polysynth, and one called Multi, which is light on controls but not sounds, with 6 modes, each having 4 macro controls and a randomize button for creating unique sounds in an instant. After only playing around for a while, I managed to get some great sounds out of them, especially combined with other useful Max tools like arpeggiators, chord sequencers, and LFOs. And other updates include track levels being displayed in RMS and peak modes simultaneously, which is a handy guide when getting levels right, improved display of waveforms and more colours added throughout the software, and some nice new sounds and presets added to the library. Perhaps the most revolutionary announcement, however, is Link, which is brand new technology coming out very soon, which allows devices to sync up with Live on a network in order to jam together. So any supported iOS apps, for example, could be played on an iPad and locked to the tempo of someone playing live on their laptop. Very cool. So there are some impressive updates both in the software and hardware, with Push 2 really going next level with its new features, like a beautiful display and even slicker workflow. Any owners of Push 1 can also trade it in to get a discount off Push 2, and support live training establishments for young people in the process. So follow the link on the Ableton website for more info. Moving on to Circuit then, this is perhaps one of the most exciting compact bits of kit I've played with in recent years, which packs a serious amount of features into a small and portable device. It also has a pretty extensive range of sounds, boasting 2 Novation synth engines for making basses and leads, in addition to its synthesized drums. Instead of talking about it though, let's have a listen. I'll start with the drums, which are selected with the last 4 buttons. The first 2 orange ones are the kick and snare, so I can hit either of those in note mode to step sequence something in. To change the drum sounds, I just hold Shift and their select buttons, after which there are 16 kicks on the upper 2 rows and 16 snares on the bottom ones to choose from. Moving on to the cymbals, I'll program in a closed hat pattern. And I can also edit levels of steps in velocity mode by holding a step and then setting the amount at the bottom. Whilst the macros above control drum parameters like decay time, pitch, distortion, and so on. Maybe I'll add a second cymbal too, making it a ride this time. And on the effects front, there's a reverb and delay to choose from, with 16 delay presets and 8 reverb ones. Clicking the preset then enters that edit mode, after which the dials above are like send dials for the effects for each of Circuit's onboard sounds. So I can add some room reverb to some of the drums now. Mixer mode allows sounds to be muted and their levels changed above. And in all modes, the brightness and colour of the LED on each dial helps indicate the function and level. So now, let's see how the synth engines sound. So I'll start with the first one by playing in a part this time. With the 2 synth sounds, you have all 32 pads for one sound, with MIDI notes to play at the top, and then steps to enter below. So for instance, I could just hit record, and then the first pad here to play my tonic note in the current scale to make a simple bass line. And notes can also be added to steps by holding them down and then hitting a step. So I could add some notes an octave up now by holding the first note in the upper octave and then selecting some steps below. And I can tweak the sound again using the macros to change the envelope, filter, and so on. And there's also a sidechain facility for ducking the bass when the kick sounds, which is pretty handy. And the scales section can be used to transpose synth parts too. Everything so far is just looping a single bar, but where Circuit really starts to come into its own is the pattern section, where you can choose individual or groups of patterns to loop. So I could press pads 1 to 4 in the second synth sound column to loop patterns 1 to 4 for that sound, so I can create a 4-bar loop now. To play this part in, I could change my keyboard to chromatic using scales mode if I wanted to play something with accidentals in, after which we have all the MIDI notes in 1 octave at the top. Or I could stay in key, but go into extended mode by holding Shift and Note, after which you get all 32 pads mapped to MIDI notes, with 4 octaves in our particular scale, which is currently C minor. And I can transpose all the pads up and down with the octave buttons. So let's play something in now. And that was just with the default bass and lead sounds. And you've got 2 whole banks of additional presets on board, so there's loads of scope for making all sorts of different music. Plus, it even runs on AA batteries if you want to take your jam outside. Just kicked off is our remix comp, where you have the opportunity of remixing none other than Nightmares on Wax to be in with a chance of winning Circuit for yourself, as well as some of our online courses and Loopmasters sample packs. The track being remixed is Da Feelin' from the album Thought Zone. As with our previous comps, you can enter via our Facebook page and post your entry on the Producertech forum. The comp closing date is the end of January 2016. Best of luck. While we're on the subject, we're also helping out Novation with 100 runners-up prizes for their current competition to win an all-expenses-paid trip here in Berlin, where you get to not only learn Ableton live with training company Hello Live, but also play out a set. So check out the links on our channels or directly in the news section of the Novation website to get involved with that. And finally, to enter this episode's competition to win the bundle of Stereo Savage and our Stereo Width online course, just tweet at Producertech, #InTheLoop, and then keep an eye on our Twitter page for the results. Coming over the next few months, we've got some superb new courses, including more from Paul Maddox, Dephased, Blandy, and Recreation, and some other excellent producers who've recently joined the community. For a sneak preview of courses before they come out, take a look at our new Instagram account, which features brief glimpses of courses that are currently in production. That's it for this episode then. Tune in next time for more tutorials, reviews, giveaways, interviews, and other audio-related gubbins. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.